Tina runs a bakery. She finds out that her confectioner, Cherry, is having a secret relationship with one of her co-workers. Only 4 men work in Tina's company. Stanley, the barista. He's a college student. Stanley parties all the time. Dylan, the SMM manager. He works from home because he has to raise 3 sons alone. Sean, the administrator. He has recently moved in with Tina, and now they're engaged. And Frank, the cleaner. He still lives with his mother, and they have 12 cats. Can you spot Cherry's secret crush? It's Dylan. There's a mug with Cherry's name on his table. It also has her lipstick marks. One morning, Tina enters the bakery and sees many clients having breakfast, but suddenly she spots something really odd. Can you see it too? This guy's laptop is upside down. Tina believes that her employee Stanley is not very smart. She decides to challenge his intellect. She gives him 3 envelopes. There's a paycheck in one of them, and there are 3 messages on the envelopes. One is true, and the other 2 are false. Stanley is not allowed to touch the envelopes. He has only one attempt to find the envelope with the true statement. Can you help Stanley make the right choice? The third statement is true. Tina goes to the storage room to check the food supply. She spots something creepy and freaks out. Can you see it too? This jar with beans is full of worms. It's snowing. Tina looks outside the window and sees some rabbits playing outdoors. Can you count the exact number? The correct answer is 20. This one is just a toy. Tina and Cherry go outside to make a snowman. After a while, Cherry comes up with an idea. She draws the word snowing in the snow. And then she tells Tina, I bet you can't solve this riddle. Cross out 1 letter at a time and make as many words as you can. Tina accepts this challenge. She takes a stick and crosses out N, turning the word into sewing. She goes on until she makes 6 words. What words did Tina make? Sewing, owing, wing, win, in, and I. The principal of the local high school enters the bakery to get some coffee. He tells a fresh rumor. Classes began with a huge scandal. One of the teachers wrote offensive things on my door. Can you guess who's guilty? It was this lady. Take a closer look. She's hiding a blue marker in her hair bun. On Monday, Frank cleans the bakery's broom closet and sends a picture to Tina. But on Tuesday, when Tina enters the broom closet, she spots some differences. Can you see them too? There are 12 differences. David offers Fiona to have lunch together. During lunch, he draws her portrait. Then he leaves the table for a while to have a phone call. David and Fiona like each other and agree to meet again. The next day, David's housemaid finds him poisoned in his place. The food was fine. No doubt it was Fiona, but there's no evidence against her. How did she poison David? Fiona smeared poison on the top of his pencil. He often put it into his mouth. In the morning, Tina leaves her apartment and goes to work. In the evening, she returns and calls the police right away. Please come over, someone robbed me. Can you spot what's missing? The robber took these boxes, some books, and a photo frame. Tina is an allergic person. She visits a doctor hoping to treat this issue, but the doctor turns out to be a wizard. He teleports Tina to an alternative reality. Here, pleasure and happiness threaten human life. He captures Tina in his house. She can choose one of these 3 doors to escape. There are cute kittens behind the first door. The second way is full of sweets and chocolate fountains. And the third way is full of people making you compliments. Which way should Tina choose? She's allergic and won't be happy about cats, so the third way is the safest for her. Lily enters the bakery and offers Tina a bet. If she wins, Tina will treat her to free coffee. If not, she'll wash the dishes. Lily: I bet I can make a number disappear. Tina: deal! In a few seconds, Tina had to admit her loss and make free coffee for Lily. How did she win? Lily put G before 1, and now it's gone. Tina receives an anonymous message. One private investigator is about to give away a flash drive with secret information to a client. It will happen in your bakery. This lady seems very suspicious. Tina is watching her. When the lady returns from the bathroom, Tina knows for sure that she's a private investigator. How did she guess? When the lady went to the bathroom, she was wearing high heels, but when she returned, her shoes were flat. She hid the flash drive in a heel. Tina is driving home late. Suddenly, she hears a loud bang. Her car swerves to the side of the road. Tina returns control at the last second. 2 robbers jump out of nowhere. They take Tina's phone and all the cash. And then they vanish. There are spikes all over the road. Her tires were toast. Tina finds a gas station. There's only one person inside, the manager. Tina yells, "Hey, I was robbed! Please call the police!" The manager goes to his office for a couple of minutes. Then he returns and says, "I called the police and a tow truck." When the cops show up, Tina tells them to arrest the attendant. Why? Tina said she'd got robbed, but she never mentioned her car. The gas station guy knew too much. Tina goes to a cooking workshop and takes the chef's pictures. Can you spot any differences between these photos? There are 3 differences. At the workshop, Tina prepares this beautiful dinner. Can you find any emojis here? Here they are. Tina enters her bakery. There's an imposter among the clients. Can you help her find this person? It's this guy. Take a look. He's wearing gloves on his feet. This guy is definitely not from this planet. Tina and Cherry are hanging out at Tina's house. Can you see anything weird in this room? This hourglass runs upside down. Tina and Cherry are discussing their old friend, Rachel. They haven't seen her for a while. Suddenly, somebody knocks on Tina's door. It's the postman with a letter from Rachel. In the note, she says that she was leaving her house and never coming back. Tina and Cherry recognize Rachel's handwriting, but the next sounds very weird. Rachel was always good at writing. She couldn't make such mistakes. They call the police. After reading the note, the officer is sure that Rachel was kidnapped. How did he know? Take the first letter of each word and you'll get, "Help me, please." The next morning, Tina calls Frank and complains. Someone broke the coffee machine, crushed mugs, and took all the cash. Tina questions 3 suspects. Cherry says, "Yesterday I had an appointment at the dental clinic, so I left earlier." Sean says, "I left the bakery in the afternoon because I had a business meeting downtown. They can confirm my words." And Stanley says, "Yesterday I had a day off to prepare for my college test. I spent all day in the library." Who's guilty? Sean. He dropped one of his cufflinks at the crime scene.
Just look at this. A car has crashed into a restaurant window, smashing it.
Uh-oh.
Detective Harris has come to investigate the case. There are two suspects, Julie and Douglas. But each of them claims that the other person did it. Can you help the detective figure out who is lying? It's Julie. The tire tracks on the ground belong to her car. Adam was driving home late at night when he noticed he was about to run out of gas. He stopped at a gas station to fill his tank and buy some snacks. Inside, there was a cashier and another customer dressed in black. When Adam came up to the employee to pay, she told him $5.05. Adam paid, went outside, and called the police to report an emergency. Why did he do it? The cash register showed $18.35, but the cashier said $5.05, which looks like SOS. Detective Harris was walking along the street when he heard some noise. He decided to check out what had happened. It turned out that some man had grabbed an elderly lady's bag and run away. The detective ran in the direction the witnesses showed him. After he turned the corner, he saw 3 doors. He knocked on the first one. The apartment owner, Patrick, opened the door. The man told the detective he'd just returned from a long run. Another man, Jerry, opened the second door. He said he'd been playing basketball behind his house. The third apartment belonged to Raymond, a musician. He had just finished composing a new piece of music. After talking to all these people, Detective Harris understood who the criminal was. Have you figured it out? The thief is Jerry. He claimed he'd been playing basketball, but he was holding a football while talking to the detective. Sarah and her sister Mary were doing some shopping. When they were leaving a grocery store, Sarah pointed at some young man and exclaimed, "Look, my nephew is over there!" Her sister replied, "Oh right, but it's not my nephew." How is it possible? The young man is Mary's son. Gemma returned from Asia and brought a precious porcelain figurine. She organized a party and invited all her friends to tell them about her journey. They had a great time, but after her friends left, the woman realized the figurine had disappeared. She called the police and showed them the photo she had taken at the party. One of the officers immediately realized who had stolen the figurine. Did you understand it too? It was this girl. She hid the figurine under her hat. At 9 a.m., Ethan got a call from his friend, an owner of a large business. The man said that a very important document had disappeared from his office. It had been on his desk the evening before, but now it was nowhere to be found. Ethan immediately came there to question his friend's employees. Soon, he had 3 suspects. Walter said he'd spent the previous evening at the movies. Joan had dinner with her friends, and Zachary visited an art gallery. It didn't take Ethan long to understand who was lying. Do you know it too? It was Walter. His ticket isn't torn. It means he didn't enter the movie theater. Now, look at these hands and try to figure out which person is married. If you look at the first hand attentively, you'll realize it doesn't belong to a grown-up person. On the second hand, there is a mark left by a ring, but there's no ring itself. It must mean that the person is no longer married. On the third hand, there's no ring either, but it's the right hand, and we wear wedding rings on the left hand. So out of these three, this person is most likely to be married. Okay, the next challenge is for you. Look at these three men. They're at the airport. Which of these guys is married? All of these men are holding their passports and tickets in their hands. None of them is wearing a wedding ring. But pay attention to the man sitting on the bench. On his ticket, it's written, "Family discount." So, he must be the one who's married. Now look at this picture attentively. Does anything strike you as strange? It's winter, but butterflies are flying around the snowman. Now, try to figure out what's wrong with this image. It's the snowman again. Instead of a carrot, his nose is made of broccoli. And the last image for you to analyze. Why does the guy on the right need ski poles if he's going to snowboard? Marcus woke up in a dark basement with just one candle burning on the table. He saw 3 doors in one of the walls and 3 keys lying on the table. How many attempts will the guy need to figure out the key for each door? He'll need 6 attempts at the most, 3 of them for the first key, 2 attempts for the second key and 2 remaining doors, and just 1 attempt for the last key. But if Marcus is extremely lucky, he might need just 3 attempts. Alicia's mom asked the girl to do some grocery shopping. She gave her a shopping list and her bank card, but the woman knew her daughter was very absent-minded. That's why she gave Alicia a small note in case she forgot the card's PIN number. When the girl was at the register, she realized she had indeed forgotten the PIN. Alicia pulled the note out of her pocket and immediately remembered the code. Can you figure out what it was if the note had a fly, a cat, a person, and a snake drawn on it? The PIN was 6420. Alicia just had to count the number of legs of each creature. A fancy restaurant in Los Angeles was offering a promotional deal. A married couple could eat at the restaurant for half price on their anniversary. To prevent scams, the couple would need proof of their wedding date. On a Thursday evening, a couple entered the restaurant and claimed it was their anniversary, but they didn't have any proof. The restaurant manager was called to speak with the couple. When the manager asked to hear about their wedding day, the wife said, "Oh, it was a wonderful Sunday afternoon. Birds were chirping and flowers were in full bloom." After nearly 10 minutes of ranting, she told the manager that today was their 28th wedding anniversary.
"How lovely,"
the manager said.
"However, you do not qualify for the discount. Today is not your anniversary. You are a liar."
How did the manager know it wasn't their anniversary? The calendar repeats itself every 28 years. So if they were married on a Sunday 28 years ago, the day they came to the restaurant would also have to be a Sunday. But since it was a Thursday, the manager knew they were lying. John called the police to report that his friend Mark had disappeared. He explained that 2 weeks earlier, he had offered Mark to live in his beach house in Miami. He wanted his friend to enjoy some summer heat, but when John returned from a half-month-long business trip to Chile, he found out that Mark was missing. The police listened to John's story and understood the man was lying. How did they figure it out? If it was summer in Miami, it was winter in Chile. And still, John came back suntanned. It means he hadn't been to Chile. Maya was in the gym doing the workout her personal trainer had prepared for her. It was tougher and longer than her usual ones. Exhausted, Maya returned to the changing room only to find her expensive bag gone.
Oh no!
She immediately called the police. They had 3 suspects. Maya's trainer said that he had been preparing a new program for his clients. Emma, another gym goer, said she had been running on a treadmill for 2 hours. The cleaner said he had been washing the swimming pool. Who took Maya's bag? It was her trainer. He knew Maya was going to have a long workout and wouldn't return to the changing room anytime soon. It's the holiday season, but some evil force is doing its best to spoil the mood. No one knows what this force is or why it's ruining the holidays. That's when Detective Robinson comes into play. Help him crack these riddles to save the day. The first task brings the detective to the North Pole. Someone has been stealing Santa's cookies, which he keeps in the reindeer stables. Santa suspects that the criminal is one of his elves who works there, but he's also worried because all of them are allergic to chocolate, and the disappearing cookies are chocolate chip ones. Detective Robinson gathers all the elves in one room. One of them keeps sticking out his tongue and then blushing and apologizing. The second elf has traces of something brown on his hands. And the third elf keeps smiling and giggling. Look at them attentively and try to figure out which one is the thief. The guy with the brownish spots on his fingers works in the stables, so no wonder his hands are dirty. Elves are cheerful creatures, which means that a smiling and giggling elf is not actually an unusual occurrence. But the first elf, his tongue is likely swollen as a result of an allergic reaction. Here's our cookie thief. 3 teenagers sneak into Santa's home. When he comes home after work, he sees 3 guilty-looking kids and his 20-foot-tall plastic Christmas tree lying on the floor. Santa knows that one of the kids must have climbed the tree, which made it fall over. He calls our detective. Chris immediately arrives. After looking at the kids attentively, he tells Santa who is guilty. Can you figure it out too? This guy with green hair looks as if he has some Christmas tree needles in his hair. But don't forget that the tree is plastic and can't lose any needles. The guy on the left has a star on his sweater that looks like the one at the top of the tree. But look, it's embroidered. Now, look at this girl with a pretty sparkly scarf. It looks suspiciously similar to tinsel decorating the Christmas tree. That's because it is tinsel. Busted! While the detective and Santa are away, solving the mystery of the overturned Christmas tree, someone steals all the presents from Santa's warehouse. After investigating the case, Detective Robinson has 3 suspects. All of them are elves. Each of the elves claims he was at home when the crime happened. The road is impossible to navigate on foot since it's been snowing for the last several hours. So, whoever did this had to use a sleigh. Can you help Chris figure out who the criminal is? This elf looks pretty angry, but it might be because his sleigh is broken. It means he couldn't have left his home. The sleigh of the elf on the right is covered with a thick layer of snow. It's unlikely that he used it recently, but look at the sleigh of the elf in the middle. There's snow under it. It means that the sleigh was parked near the house after the snow had already started falling. The elf wasn't at home, so why is he lying? One of Santa's elves put the key to the warehouse where Santa keeps presents into an empty bottle and plugged it with a cork. Detective Robinson needs to remove the key without breaking the bottle or pulling out the cork. How can he do it? Chris pushed the cork inside the bottle and shook the key out. Detective Robinson's next task is unusual to say the least. He needs to go to a haunted gingerbread mansion and face one of 3 horrifying monsters. They've taken up residence in the tasty but currently unapproachable house. Chris's potential opponents are 1. A 7-foot-tall reanimated Christmas turkey. It's threatening the detective with knives and looks extremely unfriendly. 2. A scorching hot eggnog monster that looks like a moving pile of slime. 3. Or a menacing-looking 8-foot-tall candy cane creature with long, sharp limbs? Help the detective make the right choice. The turkey can be very dangerous with those knives. The candy cane monster's limbs are too sharp to come close to it. As for eggnog, besides being very hot, it doesn't pose any serious danger. The detective just needs to push the monster towards the gingerbread wall and it will absorb the creature very fast. Santa has an unusual problem. One of his elves has just had his birthday, but Santa can't remember how old he's turned. The elf doesn't want to make the task easier. He says,
The day before yesterday, I was 34. The next year, I'll be 37.
It sounds strange, but the elf hasn't made any mistakes in his calculations. Santa definitely needs Detective Robinson's help. The elf's birthday is on December 31st, and he's talking about it with Santa on January 1st. The day before his birthday, he was 34. The next day, he turned 35. A new year started the next day. This year, he's going to turn 36, and he will be 37 the following year. No day without an accident. One young elf decided to play a prank on Santa and hid the presents behind one of these 2 doors. Detective Robinson knows that one of the doors hides a very unfriendly dragon, and behind the other, there are presents. He needs to pick the right door, otherwise the holiday is spoiled. There are 2 signs on the doors. One of them is a lie, and the other is true. On the first door, it's written, "The presents are here. The dragon is in the next room." The other sign says, "The presents and the dragon aren't in the same room." Can you help the detective figure out where the presents are? The presents are in the second room. The second statement is true, which means that the first one is false. After a long working day, Santa comes home and finds out that someone has broken all the glass decorations on his Christmas tree. He's shocked and upset. He calls Detective Robinson and tells him he has 2 suspects. One of them is one of his reindeer. Santa saw him near his house 2 hours ago. The other suspect is an elf Santa scolded. Look at the scene and help the detective determine the criminal. Look at the footprints the criminal left on the floor. They're too big and don't belong either to the deer or the elf. They actually look like they belong to Santa himself. But why would he need to frame his workers? This case makes Detective Robinson very suspicious. He starts observing Santa. Soon, Santa invites him for dinner and offers him 3 dishes to choose from. Since Chris is already wary of Santa, he examines the dishes very attentively. Look at them and say which dish is safe to eat. These chocolate chip cookies look fine until you notice that these chocolate chips are actually bugs. The steam rising over this bowl of soup is suspiciously green. This dish is likely poisoned. The only safe option is apples. Look at this tiny worm. If it can munch through the apple, it's most likely okay to eat. So, does it mean Santa wanted to get rid of Chris after the detective started to suspect something? This Santa can't be the real one. After Detective Robinson finds out that the mysterious evil force spoiling the holidays has been the fake Santa all along, he starts searching for the real Santa. Soon, he comes across a basement with 3 doors. Behind each of them, there's a man dressed as Santa and claiming to be the real one. Look at them attentively and try to figure out which Santa is real. It's Santa on the left. Hopefully you paid attention to the photo on the wall. It depicts Santa with his reindeer. If we compare the photo with all Santas, only the one on the left is absolutely the same.
Santa was looking forward to eating homemade walnut cookies, but he couldn't eat them at home because Mrs. Claus was allergic to all types of nuts. So he went outside, but when he opened the package, he saw there were only crumbs left. Santa had a pretty good idea who might have done it. One of his reindeer, of course. He decided to interrogate 3 reindeer that were at home at the time to find the culprit. Dancer said he'd been making peppermint swirls with Mrs. Claus. Prancer said he'd spent the afternoon making homemade peanut butter with Mrs. Claus. And Dasher said he'd been keeping an eye on the plum pudding. Santa immediately understood who had eaten his cookies. How did he know? It was Prancer, of course. Mrs. Claus is highly allergic to all nuts, so there was no way he could have spent the day with her making peanut butter. The manager of a gift store got a call from the police station. The police told him there was a burglar on the loose. He dressed up as Santa Claus and robbed local shops. At that moment, 4 people dressed as Santa Claus entered the store. The manager got suspicious, so he made the people stand in line while he tried to figure out which of them was the criminal. Take a look at this image. Can you guess which Santa Claus is the thief? The thief is the second Santa from the left. Take a look at his shoes. They are much bigger than the other's shoes. He must be hiding something inside. In 3 different parts of the world, 3 Santas are getting ready for their big night. They are about to leave the comfort of their homes to go and distribute gifts all around the world. Take a good look at the image below. Which Santa isn't ready to leave? The one in the middle. He still doesn't have his belt on. He can't leave without his belt. Santa walks into his gift factory at the North Pole. All of the elves are working hard to get presents ready on time. Santa walks up to the electronics station, where 3 elves are packing the latest computers in smartphones. The elves decide to play a little game with Santa. He has 1 second to observe them before they mix all the gifts. And Santa has to point out which elf wrapped which present. Ready? Can you help Santa guess correctly? Phew, that was fast! The first gift was wrapped by the 3rd elf. The second gift was wrapped by the 1st elf. And the 3rd gift was wrapped by the 2nd elf. Talk about elf magic, huh? It's the middle of the night, and Santa is sliding down a chimney in Los Angeles. He walks into a family's home. They are all asleep. He leaves their gifts under the tree and decides to check if the family left some cookies for him to snack on. He finds out that the dinner table is set with delicious dishes: candy canes, hot chocolate, gingerbread, and even turkey. Can you tell which food doesn't fit? The turkey. This dish is usually served for Thanksgiving, not Christmas. Arthur wakes up and sees that Santa has left him 4 gifts under the tree. Arthur doesn't know this yet, but one of these gifts is suspicious. Take a look at the image. Can you pick out which gift might be dangerous? It's the third one from the right. The gift has a stain at the bottom, which probably means something is leaking out of it. Yikes! Santa landed on the roof of a house. He noticed that there were 3 chimneys through which he could get inside this house. Santa sneaked a peek into the first chimney. Someone had left a small fire burning below. At the bottom of the second chimney, Santa noticed hundreds of sharp spikes. And the third chimney was closed and locked. Which chimney should Santa choose to get down? The first chimney. The fire will eventually burn out and he'll be able to slide down safely and easily. The police were called to investigate an accident. They arrived and found Santa and his broken sleigh on the sidewalk. The police asked Santa what had happened. He said, "The Grinch cut me off and scared my deer. I lost control and hit the tree." The police officers noticed there were tire tracks and decided to follow them to see if they could find the Grinch. When they found the Grinch, he told the police that Santa was lying. The Grinch said that Santa's sleigh had already crashed into the trees when he'd been passing by. Take a look at the scene of the crash. Can you figure out who is lying? The Grinch is lying. His tire tracks are under Santa's tracks. This means that he drove by not after the accident had happened, but before. A gang of robbers was operating in Smallville. They walked around dressed up as Santa Claus and got into houses through chimneys. They put valuables into their Santa bags and walked straight out the door. When neighbors saw them, they thought they were the real Santa. Finally, the police caught the entire gang. However, one of them claimed he was the real Santa and shouldn't be blamed for the crimes he hadn't committed. Detective Johnson was called to handle the case because he saw the real Santa once when he was still a child. He recalled that Santa was medium height, he was wearing a coat with 6 buttons, and there was a pocket on the right. He also said that Santa's belt buckle was square. Take a look at the footage from the police station. Can you figure out who the real Santa is? It's the second guy from the right. He fits all of Detective Johnson's descriptions. 4 Santa Clauses were waiting to board a plane. The airline got an anonymous call that someone was trying to smuggle illegal goods into the aircraft. So the security decided to check every passenger's bags. The first Santa was carrying an extra costume, a photo of Mrs. Claus, and some snacks. The second Santa was carrying shaving cream, an extra pair of shoes, and a book. The third Santa had a stash of money, a laptop, and a wig. And the fourth Santa was carrying a few gifts and some gingerbread. Can you guess which Santa is the criminal? It's the one carrying shaving cream. Santa never shaves his beard, so he must be hiding something inside the tube. Santa was ready for his evening flight, and he invited his reindeer to join him. He called Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Donner, Dasher, and Rudolph. However, when the deer showed up, they were all disguised as Rudolph. They all painted their noses red. To find out the real identities of his reindeer, Santa had to remember some things about them. Donner jumps the highest of all 6. Dancer likes to see Donner and keep him in view. Dasher likes to stay pretty close to the ground. Vixen and Rudolph are separated by one brother. Rudolph doesn't want to deal with Dancer. Take a look at the image. Can you guess which one is Rudolph? Let's see. Donner is the highest flying deer. Dancer is on Donner's right, flying just a little bit lower than Donner. Dasher is the closest to the ground. Prancer is the one in the middle. And Rudolph is the furthest on the left. He is the leader, after all. Take a look at these 12 Santas. Can you spot the odd one? Oh, it's this one right there. The others don't have green shoes, do they? Now take a look at this bunch of elves. Can you spot the odd one?
He doesn't have pointy ears like the other elves.
Karen is at a corporate party. Her boss, Mia, brings a bunch of identical envelopes and says, "I personally put the grand prize in one of these envelopes. It's a certificate for a trip to Bali. But no worries, the remaining envelope contains consolidation prizes prepared by our sponsors. Can you help Karen win the trip to Bali?" There's a lipstick print on this envelope. Mia has a similar lip color. She said that she had personally packed only one envelope, so the grand prize should be here. The day of Karen's flight to Bali has finally come. She calls a taxi to the airport. Soon, 3 identical taxis arrive at her porch. But only one of these drivers can actually give Karen a safe ride. Can you guess who? The second car has a flat tire, and the driver of the third taxi is a werewolf. Take a look at his claws. It's a full moon, so he'll turn into a wolf soon. Therefore, Karen should choose the first taxi. Karen's luggage is too heavy, so she goes to the cash register to pay for the excess. Oh no, her card holder is gone. Karen asks 3 people standing nearby, "Have you seen a pink card holder?" The cleaner says, "I found 2 lost wallets today, but none of them look like yours." The cashier says,
I was busy with another customer, so I didn't look around.
and another passenger says, "Don't waste time, honey. Block your cards as soon as possible." Who stole the wallet? Nobody. Karen put it in the fold of her hat and forgot it there. See? On the plane, the steward asks Karen to switch seats with another passenger. Karen can choose one of these 3 seats. Can you help her figure out the best option? This man has very long legs, so he'll probably kick the back of Karen's chair all along. The second option is next to this elegant lady, but she's stealing money from another passenger. Probably not the best company for a long-hour flight. Although the third guy looks like a vampire, it's just a costume. He's sitting by the window, but the sun rays don't bother him, so he's the best option. Karen arrives at a fancy hotel in Bali. The manager shows her the 3 best bungalows to choose from, but only one of them is safe enough. Can you help Karen to make the best choice? The first bungalow doesn't have a door, which makes Karen an easy target for robbers and mosquitoes. And there's a scorpion under the bed in the third bungalow, so she should choose the second one. On the beach, Karen meets 3 ladies who claim to be millionaires and show her pictures to prove it. But one of them is fake rich. Can you guess who? It's the first lady. She's just modeling for an electric toothbrush commercial, so her luxury is artificial. Karen is walking down the shore and sees a party. It's a beach wedding, so the bride and groom don't wear traditional costumes. Can you find the newlyweds among these people? Take a look at the cake. The letters say Harry plus Amy. This lady is wearing a necklace with the name Amy, so she's the bride. And now, look at the flower garland around her neck. Only one person is wearing the identical garland, this guy, so he's probably the groom. Karen spots her former classmate, Tom, among the guests. He's talking to a strange lady. The lady is wearing a hoodie and standing with her back turned to Karen, so Karen can't see her face. Tom and the lady leave together and hide from everyone on the roof of the beach restaurant where the party takes place. Later that night, Karen also visits the roof. There's no one else here, but after checking the roof, Karen knows for sure which of these three ladies is Tom's secret girlfriend. How did she know? The third lady's dress is decorated with gold sequins. She lost one sequin on the roof. Tom sees Karen and invites her for a walk along the shore. She spots 4 weird things right away. Can you see them too? A mermaid is hiding in the waves. This sandcastle has electric lighting. Tree branches flutter in the wind to the right, but the flags to the left. And finally, the moon has a creepy face. The next morning, Karen goes to the buffet breakfast. She wants to get a smoothie, but there's no information about the ingredients in English. Unfortunately, Karen is allergic to strawberries. Can you figure out which smoothies are safe for her? It's all about the color. Only the green and yellow smoothies don't contain any strawberries for sure. Other options are risky. Karen enters a spa center. The manager asks her to wait for 15 minutes. Karen takes a seat and falls asleep. She wakes up after a while and finds out that someone had given her a heart-shaped tattoo. She questions 3 suspects. Bobby, the client, says, "Lady, I've just arrived on my motorbike. If I see any crazy tattoo artists around here, I'll tell you." Leah says, "I've been cleaning the bathroom within the last 30 minutes. And Tony, the massage therapist, says, "Sorry, I was busy with my client, so I didn't look at you at all." Who's lying? Bobby. This motorbike has flat tires, and besides, it was already there when Karen entered the spa. Luckily, the tattoo was temporary, and the massage therapist helped Karen to remove it, but he charged her $5 for his help. Karen arrived at the spa during happy hours when they offer a 45% discount on all services, so Karen paid only $12 for a 1-hour massage. Also, she had a pedicure for $7. When Karen left, she found a $50 bill on the ground. How much money did Karen spend in total? Can you count? Karen spent a total of $24. As for this $50 bill, it's fake, so it doesn't make any difference. Karen brings her clothes to the local laundry owned by 3 sisters. She returns to pick up her stuff in 5 hours. Unfortunately, someone has burned her favorite dress with an iron. Karen gets furious and questions the sisters. Mia says, "I didn't iron today. It must be Pia." Pia says,
Nah, I was planting roses in the garden all day. It must be Gia.
and Gia says, "I don't know who's guilty because I've been away all day." Who burned Karen's dress? It was Pia. Take a look at the garden. Can you see any roses? Exactly. Karen returns to her hotel room and finds a huge bouquet in a vase. The note says, "Love, your secret admirer." Karen calls the reception to find out more. The manager says, "One of the hotel's male guests ordered the flowers, but I can't reveal his name." Only 3 male guests stay in this hotel at the moment: Hans, Jacques, and Will. Karen meets them all at the beach and spots her secret admirer right away. Do you have any clue who it might be? Karen received pink lilies. Take a look at Hans's shirt. It has a print with pink lilies. He loves these flowers, but this doesn't prove anything. Will has a tan line from a wedding ring, and he's taking pictures of his wife surfing. But Jacques is writing in the sand, and his handwriting looks suspiciously similar to the love note. Spotted! Karen and Jacques go for a walk. He brings her to a pier with 3 boats. Jacques says, "If you manage to guess where my boat is, I'm going to give it away to you." Can you help Karen find the right answer? Someone's sleeping on the second boat, but this doesn't mean that the person is the owner. The third boat is called Jacques, but this name is quite popular. Let's take a closer look at the first boat. Can you see the red trousers on a hanger? They match perfectly with Jacques' jacket. Therefore, this is his boat. Rachel called the police early in the morning. When they arrived, she told the officers her story.
I work in a museum. Yesterday, I took home several ancient books. I wanted to do some research, but then a blackout happened. I lit a couple of candles and continued my work. Suddenly, I heard the doorbell ring. When I opened the door, someone in a black mask hit me on the head. When I recovered, the books were gone.
Detective Anderson arrested the woman for misreporting. Why? If there had been a blackout, the doorbell wouldn't have been working. After a bank had been robbed, the police found a bag with money in the park. It was lying among cacti. The police officers arrested 3 suspects. It didn't take long to figure out who the bank robber was. Do you know who it is? It's the man on the left. He's the only one with some scratches. They must have been left by the cacti. Detective Brown stopped a man leaving a clothing store. The sales assistant claims you've stolen some expensive gloves. These are my gloves! I've had them for ages, the man exclaimed. But the detective immediately understood the man was lying. How? The man wouldn't be able to use these gloves. They're both for the same hand. A family with 2 teenagers went on vacation to the seaside. They lived in a small bungalow, almost right on the beach. Everything was great at first, but 2 days after their arrival, their younger son went missing. The police had 4 suspects. They invited the guy's family to look at them. Maybe they could recognize someone. The teenager's mother didn't need more than a glance before she knew who was behind her son's disappearance. Who was it? It's the man wearing the missing guy's baseball cap. Michael was going home from the gym when everything went black. When the guy came around, he found out that he was in a locked room. Next to the door, there was a computer with a keyboard. On the screen, there was a riddle. Michael had to type the correct answer, and the door would open. The riddle went like this. It makes 2 people out of 1. What is it? Michael typed the correct word, and the door opened. He was free to go. What was the answer? It's a mirror. Police detective Thomas Davis was walking along the street on a winter evening. Suddenly, he saw a person in a black mask sneaking out of a house through the window. They were carrying 2 large bags. The detective realized it was a burglar. He ran after the stranger, but they turned the corner and disappeared. Thomas understood that the criminal had hidden in one of these houses. But which one? It can't be the house on the left. There are too many people inside. There are no footprints in the snow leading to the house on the right. It means no one has been there for quite some time, which leaves us with the house in the middle. Oliver was attacked in his apartment and taken to a hospital. The police had 4 suspects, all of them Oliver's neighbors. Amelia said she'd been walking in the park since early morning. Henry explained he'd been painting in his studio and had heard nothing. Jacob said he'd been repairing his car. Sophia answered she'd been taking a bath for the past 3 hours. Look at these people's hands and try to figure out who is lying. It's a bit strange that Jacob, who'd been repairing his car, and Henry, who'd been painting, both have such clean hands. But they could have been wearing gloves. At the same time, Sophia's hands and fingers aren't wrinkled. But it would be a natural skin reaction after 3 hours in a bathtub. How many bricks does it take to complete a building? Just 1. It will be the last one. A man wanted to buy a used car. He found a nice one which cost $9,000. He bought it and didn't pay a dime for it. How come? When paying $9,000, you don't need to spend dimes. Now let's check your math skills. How can you write 45 using only the number 4? (44 plus 44 44ths). Nathan sneaked out of the house late in the evening to meet his girlfriend. The teenager thought he was extremely careful and quiet, but his whole family knew about his plan. They were aware that the guy would return at midnight. They decided to make a bet. The one who would see Nathan first when the guy started climbing the fence would be the winner. No chores for them for 1 week. Not to fall asleep, Nathan's dad switched on the TV. The teen's grandfather settled in the living room and started to read a book. The grandmother went to the kitchen to make pizza, and Nathan's mom went to her room, sat down on the floor, and started meditating. Who's going to be the first to spot Nathan when the time comes? Nathan's mom. Her eyes will be used to the darkness, and she will see better than the others. The CEO of a large company called the police. He was sure that one of his employees, Victoria, had stolen a memory card with secret information. She was going to sell it to the competitors. The police arrived at Victoria's house, but the woman didn't let them in without a warrant. The officers had to leave to get all the necessary papers. When they came back, Victoria was already sitting in her car, ready to drive off. The police officers arrested the woman. They searched her car and clothes, but found nothing. And then, when they were about to give up, one of the detectives realized where Victoria kept the memory card. Can you figure it out? When the police first came to her, the woman had her hair down, but after that, Victoria changed her hairstyle. The memory card is in her bun. Martin was driving past a bus stop when he saw 3 people standing there. One of them was Monica, a woman he had a crush on. Martin also spotted Sam, his friend, and an elderly lady who looked like she was freezing. Unfortunately, Martin had a 2-seater car. What should he do? He should let Sam borrow his car and stay at the bus stop with the girl he likes. This way, Sam will be able to give a lift to the elderly woman, and Martin will have more time to get to know Monica better. During a fire, a bank was robbed. The security guard told the police he wanted to save a bag with money, but he had to lace up his boot right in front of the emergency kit. At that moment, the door opened and hit him on the head. When he recovered, the money was missing. Why was the security guard arrested? All emergency doors open outward. Detective Adams came to the park to have lunch in the sun, but his attention was drawn by 3 men running around a fountain. Each of them was shouting, "Thief! Catch the thief!" The detective was confused. Who was the real thief? That's why he just kept watching. After some time, the distance between the men shortened. Detective Adams immediately realized who the real thief was. Can you figure it out too? If the third man was the thief, the second one would only have to turn around to catch him. The same goes for the second man, which means the man running in first is the criminal. Someone robbed a bank in a large city. A police detective went to visit the main suspect. "I've been feeling unwell all this week, and I haven't left my apartment for 3 days. I didn't even need food. My fridge is full. You can make sure yourself," the suspect said, and indeed opened his fridge. But the detective realized the man was lying and arrested him. How did he figure it out? First of all, the bread on the table looks fresh. Plus, if the man had been staying inside for 3 days already, his fridge wouldn't be that full.